It truly is an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to introduce my next fabulous, radiant, magnetic, incredible guest, Petia Kolibova. She is, you're gonna really enjoy this conversation. And Petia is an alignment coach for women, and she intuitively connects to their inner vision so they can experience personal, professional magnetism and become unapologetically abundant. Fuck yeah. Her mission is to empower visionaries who are on the path to embody their fullest self-expression, to soulfully expand into a quantum leap in all dimensions of their life. She has immense clarity and exact steps. So the beautiful thing about her work is she is both intuitive and has a system that helps people move from this stuck and contraction into freedom and expansion. And she's done that through many, many different works and modalities. Some include certified breathwork facilitator, Reiki, NLP, human design practitioner. She leads her 6- and 7-figure clients to their next level in life and, like we talked about, business. And if she's not interviewing fellow experts on her podcast, Unapologetically Abundant, she is traveling the world with her husband. She's hosting retreats, or she's doing things that light up her soul, like reading and practicing this amazing work. So without further ado, I am so freaking jazzed to introduce and to welcome into the convo my friend, Petia. Hello, and welcome to the Weeder Life podcast. I'm your host, Erica Weederlight, and I am the CEO and founder of We the Light. I help humans who feel inadequate, broken, self-conscious, and shamed around their sexuality to reclaim their aliveness, their power, and to have a renewed relationship to pleasure while preparing themselves to feel hella confident to date others and themselves. AKA, I'm guiding people to live their #best lives. I have to give you a fair warning. I do unfortunately swear like a drunken sailor, so if you do have little ones by you, just be sure to pop in some earbuds. All right, friends, let's buckle up and let's rock it to this week's episode. I am so grateful that you're here, and I'm just so excited to jam with you and talk about all of the beautiful work that you've done and the gorgeous life that you've created. So I'm super grateful that you're here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Erica. I appreciate you. And I was telling you right before we hit the record button, like you are the starting of my day. So I know it's going to be a great day.
It's so true. I'm like, all right, if this is the start, then it's only going to get better and better and better. Yes. So I am just so blown away by your work, of course, but really how you've cultivated your life, and especially with your relationship to manifesting. And I've talked about this before on the podcast and on many other platforms. I feel like for so many of us, and I'm interested to hear, on your perspective with manifesting, sometimes we make ourselves wrong and there's some shame around it. And for you, at least from the work that I've seen you do, you have like a really healthy, juicy, exciting relationship to manifesting versus like, oh no, like every thought has to be perfect and I have to be high vibe. So can you talk to us about that? Like, that's such a big kahuna to jump into, but your relationship to creation and manifesting that feels exciting and expansive versus contracted and overwhelming.
I love that question, Erica, and I love that we're starting with that, because so very often my clients, when they come to me, or women, when they come to my, retreats or workshops, like they're like, so how do I manifest? Like, and they want to like go right into that. It's like, I want to be there. I want to be in the future. And they're living in a when land. It's like, when I have the money, when I have the body, when I have the partner, when business takes off, when I leave my corporate job, like, then I will be happy. I'm like, no, you won't. Like, been there, done that, right? Like, I always tell my clients, I did all the mistakes that I could along the way, so you don't have to do them. So with a manifestation, it's the same way. I feel like it's a beautiful dance. And the thing is that you're manifesting 24/7. Every single thing that it's in your life, you manifested it. the thing is that sometimes we don't like these manifestations. And that's why we are like, oh, like this is not working. I'm doing something wrong. There's something wrong with me. But I feel like everything it's really needed on our journey, every single thing. Like we just went through like such a hard 6 months with my husband, not like our relationship, thank goodness. But like, you know, we got pregnant, we went through miscarriage, then we find out we had twins. So from one pregnancy, I went through 2 miscarriages. Then next month, like we got robbed, like armed robbery, you know, there was a gun and knife. And it was just like, so like scary and making me feel unsafe and just making me not wanted to connect with the world. Like I was like so inward that all of that I could say like, oh, there is something wrong with me. I would never manifest this and things like that. And then we moved back to States from Mexico. So it's a big shock too for our body, different investments, big investments with a move. And, you know, with that, the energy that I was carrying around, it wasn't the highest vibe. It wasn't like, oh, I love the life. I love the world. Right. And that's what I started to like see, like in my other relationships with my clients. There were some things that fell through, that there was a commitment, but it was only verbal commitment and it wasn't follow through on that. So instead of like me being in despair and saying that, ooh, like there is something wrong with me, or it's because I thought wrong, whatever. I'm like, wow, why is this happening for me? What is this teaching me? How is this expanding me? Because what I realized, Erica, that every single time that something happens in our life, again, everything you live in your life, it's a manifestation, and also your perception, right? You can look at your life and feel one way. I can look at your life, feel completely different way, right? So it's like the perception and the manifestation of itself. It's just, you are like bringing into the world your personality. Your personality will change, especially for us, you know, women. It changes even with our cycle, right? Like I'm different week 1 and week 3, right? So it's like understanding that you're always manifesting, and it's not like you will have a negative thoughts and your life will crumble. It doesn't work that way, because it has to be long perpetuated feeling. And, you know, like I have a business degree, I have an MBA, I studied in marketing, and I had a social media marketing agency. And what I have learned through it's like what I do in life, it's like blending spirituality and strategy in the business world. So I'm bringing in those two worlds. Like I want to understand the business side, like the brainy, the grounding, you know, and then the spiritual side. I bring them together. And when I look at both of those aspects of like manifestation, I realize it's not like, oh, you had a bad thought, something will happen, you will like do something wrong in your life. It's the perpetuated long feeling. And even in the business, we're taught that whatever you're experiencing today, it's what you have done 90 days before. So it's 90 days back, you know, and I know there's a science behind it. I don't remember from the top of my head, but you can research it, you know, like whatever you're experiencing in your business is the energies and the steps and the things you have done 90 days before. So when I was going through my miscarriage, that was unexpected. I was still making money. I had clients, all of these things. Now what I'm experiencing, it's a lower point in my, it's not like I'm, you know, like dying and the world is, everything is going to hell, you know, it's not that, but I can feel, I'm like, wow, this feels different. Like I'm less busy. Some clients are finishing their terms. And before we enroll new clients, you know, in the December and January, I'm like, wow, what is happening? And what I realize, it's not what I'm doing right now. It's what I did before. I disconnected energetically, emotionally. I didn't have it in me. I was maintaining my business, but I wasn't expanding. So manifestation, it's like the long-term presentations of your feeling. It's not like you're having bad day, you're having bad thought. It's not then, you know, it's when it's a longer, what beliefs you're creating about it. The beliefs are just thoughts that we keep thinking over and over, right? So with manifestation, just understand that you can always shift that. If you're having a bad day, you're not having a bad life. You get to understand that I feel like life, it's a marathon, and sometimes we try to sprint it and we exhaust ourselves, we burn out, we get frustrated. Hello, been there, done that, right? Don't go there. Petia did it for you. It's a marathon, especially in life and when you own business, Erica. Like, right? It's not just like, oh, butterflies and rainbows. I got it. I got a secret. No. I work with clients who are hating their corporate. I want to build their business. And I work with clients who have multiple six figures income yearly, So it's like all of them, they're going through their waves, when life feels amazing and when life it's, shifting us and expanding us. So sometimes, and I read it somewhere and wholeheartedly, my whole body said no, but it was something about like the universe, it's testing you if you really want it so bad. I'm like, that's BS. The universe, God, source, they're never testing you. They're always expanding you. So what happened this month in my business and last time in my business just is showing me how to expand, and verbal commitments are beautiful. And I did pay a lawyer to have a contract with my clients. Like, do I apply it? Not a 10 out of 10? No, just when I remember. So I'm like, okay, let's talk to my team, and every client who comes to me, there has to be deposit, there has to be contract. And it's not because I'm not trusting, but because I'm really trusting myself, and I want to create the boundaries for my energy. Because imagine with the amount of clients that I have, if I have to be thinking like, oh, when is then payment, when they're, and no, I don't. So I can be in my flow and be fully present to manifesting the expansion. Because when I expand, my clients expand, and I cannot waste my energy and time on a little things, because that's when we're stopping our growth. And I know this was very long-winded answer.
But it was so good. It was, and I'm like, oh, there's so many good places I want to go with this. And something you brought up that I was like, oh, yes, was the protection, gatekeeping, and the coming back to your energy and your alignment. Can you talk to us about that? Like, how do you do when someone's like, oh, like not from a place of wrongness, but like, oh, I feel a little off kilter. How do you get back? How do you come back to, okay, like I'm going to root now. I'm going to resource. Like, what does that look like for you?
I love that. And I feel like it is different for each and every one of us, because we really get to tap into our core and our intuition. What does that feel like to me? What does it look like for me? For example, for me, it's like I have like millions of beautiful like a sprays, like Palo Santo and rose and calm and anew, so like if I'm between sessions, I have my candles, Palo Santo here, I have my crystals. So sometimes when I'm on interviews, I'm just like holding my crystals, black tourmaline, so I am in that grounded energy. But then if I have a space between or after a long day, I will take a bath. I create like a spiritual bath, or I take a shower. Like my husband calls me mermolphin for a reason, because I'm like a mermaid and dolphin in one. Like anywhere and everywhere I can, I'm by the water, So for me, water is very soothing and grounding. And the best thing really, whenever you can, it's nature. Some of you might be living in a city, but still, even just like I have plants everywhere, you can tell, right? Like I have plants everywhere in front of my window, behind me. My husband, he got me the Christmas rose, whatever it's called, the red thing,
Oh, yes.
Yes. So it's just like I have plants and nature everywhere around me, even if it's, we just moved from bikini beach weather to Vegas, where it's like cooler weather, like 50s, 60s. So I'm not going to go and lay on a backyard and get some sand, but normally that's what I would do. Whenever I can, I go out on a fresh air, ground myself with the nature, take deep breaths. Sometimes I do breath work, between my sessions, because it helps me get back into my body. So you get to ask yourself, how can I get back to my body? Because so often when we're doing things or serving the world, we can be just like in our upper chakras, right? Like we can come from our heart, which is beautiful service, but very often it's like running, the program, you're running from the memory, so like, how can you get back into your lower chakras? How can you get back into your body? You can listen music, you can do, breath work and really reconnecting. And again, like, I have like beautiful sprays that like bring me back into my body, into my senses. How can you get back into your senses? I think that's like the main question. It's not even the body, like your body, it's always here, but how can you get back into your senses and be fully present? Because that's what's going to help you to ground yourself. And like you were saying, like, protect yourself, protect your energy. I feel like that comes through like going back into being fully present. And I love doing like in the beginning of the day, Qigong, and I create like a golden light energy around me, so only good can come through. And I strengthen it by just thinking about the golden light throughout the day. You don't have to do the exercises and anything. And it's so easy. Like, even if you don't do the whole exercises, you can just like imagine in the morning that you're creating, visualizing the golden light circle around you. And it's beautiful because your intention is the most powerful, tool that you have.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially in the morning.
Yes.
Especially in the morning. I'm like, ooh, I just, I want to frame too about the five senses, because I talk about that a lot, especially with the pleasure work, because so often with pleasure and happiness, everyone's like, this sounds great. Like, of course I want this. I want to do this. And I think you frame so beautifully. It's not even necessarily, yes, it is about getting into our body, but sometimes it's like, what does that mean? How do I do that? So it's like, that sounds like such a big task when we're so out of our body. It feels really hard to get into our body. So you name that beautifully of like, okay, like, let's just get to some of the five senses. Like, let's tap into one. And what is it like to be really present with, scent or taste? Like, and that, boom, that gets us into our body, which is gorgeous.
And it can be super easy. Like I said, if sometimes it happens that I have a coaching calls and interviews, I build my life now that I work only 2 to 3 days a week. That really works for me because I like spaciousness and space for creativity. But like, sometimes when I travel, when I move, when I have bigger events and block out my calendar, then when, it's catching up and people want to schedule with me, sometimes I have a full days and I don't have so much space in between. But I always make sure that I have something around me. Like I said, the spray, like having a rose spray, or you can just make your own spray at home. You can just put lavender oil and water, and that's it. Just spray yourself and it will feel so good. Or having some candles around you, something tactical. Like my best friend, spiritual wife, she gave me this like wooden angel. So it's like always here with me. And it's just like, it's a wood, right? So it's a nature, it's a raw material. I have like very lot of crystals around me. I have a salt lamp around me. So even if you are short on time, like just connecting to your breath, just breathing, closing your eyes, touching something that will change how you're feeling, it's going to really help you.
Yeah, and I think two big words that you said was the intentions, which is huge. And also what I'm picking up on is, I was gonna say on a word, but I forgot what the word was, but how you are taking time to do this. Where, so often we have the story of, I don't have time. And sure that, okay, we could talk about that another time. But what you're saying is, it doesn't need to be a 4-hour rictual. Is it great? Sure. But what you're saying is, it could just be even in the moment
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Exactly. A busyness and chaos. Like, okay, I'm just going to breathe, or okay, I'm just going to smell this essential oil, like that. It's honestly consciousness and having that awareness and coming back to that desire, I think, is a really helpful part of this conversation. And sometimes everything feels so overwhelming. It's just, how can we keep coming back to the consciousness, the present moment, to keep grounding and feeling in, which is, I'm so glad you highlighted that.
Yes. Thank you. And like you said, sometimes we're making it such a big deal. And I love my space. Like in the morning, I love having like 2 hours, because me and my husband, we wake up, we have 32 ounces of lemon water, 32 ounces of celery juice, freshly squeezed every morning. And then we do heavy metal detox smoothies. So just our morning routine to create all of this it's like 40 minutes, right? So I love having 2 hours. If it means waking up early, if it means to start my day later, like today I started with you 9 a.m. Normally I don't do anything before 10 or 11 a.m. Pacific time, right? So because I lived in East time, up until like a couple weeks ago, I still have some appointments there for me starting early. And I'm up since like 5 or 6 a.m. So it's not like Petia sleeps until 9 and then she leisurely comes to her camera at 10 a.m. I love preparing for my day because how I start my day will determine the rest of the day. And the thing it's for me, how I was able to create the life that I have and the business I have, it's through my magnetism. I am the magnet to my clients, to my opportunities, to my beloved husband, to my friends. Like I'm being magnetic. There are times that you just shut down. That's what I did past couple months, gave myself space to grieve, to be fully present, forget the world. My business was still running. It just wasn't expanding as I'm used to. It's expanding and it's okay. We get to understand that you get to give yourself the space and time. And I don't care if it's 5 minutes or 2 hours, it gets to happen.
Yes. Yes. And that is so helpful. And do you feel like your practice, your consciousness, like you said, whether it's that 2-hour practice in the morning or even 5 minutes, do you feel like that's added to your magnetism?
That created my magnetism because, Erica, like before, like what do you see right here and right now? It's like a decade of inner and outer work, right?
Yes.
And it's not even what you see, but even if you close your eyes, Erica, even if you're here sitting with me and only hearing my voice, you can feel me. And that's the thing that people don't realize. Most of my life, I was in my masculine because the way I was raised, like I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel protected. My stepfather was physically, mentally abusive. My mother was always like all her life on a diet. So I didn't feel safe to be myself and express myself, So my whole life I was in my masculine because I was like, I got to provide, I got to protect for myself and everybody else around me. And there was no time to soften and rest and receive. So I had to find it the hard way when I was burnout and sick and in toxic relationships and attempt of suicide, almost 20 years of eating disorder. I had to find the hard way that people don't care about what you like, the superficial people maybe, but how do you look like or what do you do? It's how do you make them feel? How do you make them feel and how do you feel? That's your magnetism, that's your energy. And I couldn't tap into that until I realized that the feminine, it's not weak. The feminine, it's not the one to abuse and use. That's what I experienced growing up, right? But it's the one who is strong, who is spears, who is like a tsunami, right? Sometimes people think like, oh, the feminine, it's soft and sweet. Yes, it can be, but it's like nature. It can be fierce. It can be, I don't want to say like, that it can hurt you, but, don't mess with her. Right? So don't mess with her. And that's something that I had to embrace, Erica, in my life. So I could become magnetic on all the levels. Masculine still has to be in because if not, we're not going to be here at 9 a.m. because Petia is still leisurely dancing in her room with her hair down and, dancing half naked. Like there's a masculine because there is the sense of purpose and desire to achieve an impact, but it's internal. So the masculine that it's internal and like single focus, like I'm here to serve, I'm here to help. Like how can I provide like for my family, for my loved ones, like for my team members, like I'm giving them all Christmas bonuses. I get to do well, so I can do that, right? So it's how can you dance with the masculine and the feminine? How can you bring both into your life? And, if I wouldn't soften up, I wouldn't be able to be magnetic, but also bring the abundance because it's not the hustle and the hard work that is going to make you fulfilled. Done it. I had the money. I have the achievement. Everybody told my life it's perfect. On the inside, I was dying. On the inside, it was a guilt and shame because I'm like, Petia, what's wrong with you? Like people say you have an amazing life, you have a like beautiful husband, right? That he was narcissistic, that he was cheating on me, that he was giving me silent treatments, that, like so many things that were happening behind the door. Nobody knew. So how you're feeling is going to determine your magnetism and who are you attracting in your life. And then you get to also walk in faith. That's a huge one. And again, I don't care if you believe in God or it's like whatever, right? Source, universe, so many names you can put it. There's something bigger than you that it's guiding you, protecting you, helping you breathe, helping you like pump your beautiful blood so it gets to your heart. There is something, and I see it like, I don't see it like, and again, I'm not meaning offend anyone. This is just how I see it. You know, some religions, they're seeing like God, like a old dude sitting on a cloud and punishing you for all your sins. And then you have to like go and tell the priest about your sins and pay them money so the God can forgive you. I was like, I don't believe in that. I believe that God, whatever it is, or source, it's a very loving force that is here to hold you and show you the way and show you the path and give you the breadcrumbs. So it's not this punishing force, like you're either bad girl or good girl, right? Like you are the wholeness and you are loved in your wholeness. When you realize that you're not here to be perfect, what the BS is that anyway, right? Like there's no perfection anyway. Look at nature. There's no perfection. There are no two leaves. They're completely the same, right? So when you embrace that wholeness of you, that's when you can open up to abundance and manifestations beyond your wildest dreams, when things can literally happen instantaneously because you're so tapped in and turned on.
Oh my God. What a mic drop. Yeah, like boom. What a mic drop. That is, you nailed it. Like you nailed it and so gorgeously articulated all of that. And it's inspiration for me too, because again, like I walked into this world years ago from a shame place of manifesting, like we talked about at the beginning of this conversation. And for you, how you're speaking about it is so permission giving and exciting and expansive. It's not from a contraction, it's from opportunity and growth and just how you show up, like you said, energetically. I'm like, yes, like it really is like the more you shine, you give permission for others to shine. And you are beyond even all of your juicy work, like you just showing up like in this energy. It's like, yes, like it is just fire and permission giving.
Oh, thank you. I receive it. And you know, like our energy, it's truly the loudest. How you show up in the world, it really is going to be seen through your energy. I feel like so many people are now tuned into the energy more than anything else. There's too many distractions, too many words. People will feel your energy and they will not allow any BS to go through.
Yeah, it's true. It's so
like
true.
You can feel it, Erica, right? It's like
yeah.
Sometimes like I was thinking like, something is wrong with me because I'm so particular about people. Like sometimes I'm introduced to people and they seem like nice people and I don't like them. And I don't know why. It's just like, oh, it doesn't feel right. And it happened to me like a couple times with my husband in the past. He had a couple business partners, you know, and I met the first one, like when we met my husband like 5 years ago, I'm like, oh no. And then the drama like unfolded. And it's not because I expected it. I want my husband to be supported and loved and achieving things with other people because he loves collaborations and groups. I love like one-on-one. I love the singles, you know,
Yes.
so it's just like appreciating the differences. But I knew right away, like, oh, this person doesn't feel right to me. So my husband, you know, like a couple of years later, he has to go through bankruptcy and so much drama and lawyers. And I'm like, wow. And of course, I didn't tell him I told you so. And I felt it inside of me, like something about the person didn't feel right. You know, and last year, my husband also was working with someone else. And this person was like motivational speaker and outer and like building things and all the good, amazing, powerful energy things. I was like, something doesn't feel right about this person. Like, I know that this person has a good intentions, but something doesn't feel right. Couple months ago it showed up again, you know, and it's not like Petia, it's the witch and she's manifesting all the wrong things, right? It's just like understanding if something doesn't feel right, you don't have to force yourself to make it right. Like I have my spiritual wife and she's, oh my God, she's so gifted with people. She's, you know, like doing meditation, sound bath healing. She's a Reiki healer. She's incredible, beautiful soul. She's so good with people. I was just telling her yesterday, like, I'm sometimes envious in how you like people and how you get, I like, you know, I like my people, but like, I don't see myself inviting like every other weekend, like 10, 20 people into my house. It's too much energy, right? So understanding our differences and trusting who we are, like trusting who we were designed to be. And one thing that truly deeply so much helped me along my journey, well, two things. First, realizing my worth, like really knowing who I am, because that's something that I saw in so many of my clients. No matter what they were going through in their life, if it was like unfulfilling job or relationship or their health, their body, their business, their money, like there was a piece of unworthiness, you know, they were carrying around. So working on their worthiness, I created like a mini course for that, because it's, if you don't have the worthiness, nothing else will work, right? Not your manifestations, not your abundance, because you create it and then you self-sabotage, and then your car breaks and your wash machine breaks, and like you don't feel worthy, you know, of it to be easy. And the second part, it's understanding your human design. Like human design, it's such a beautiful modality. You can ask Uncle Google. It can explain you everything, right? You can message me on Instagram. I don't put it like publicly out there, but I do readings like with my clients. I use it, and I can still do like a single sessions readings, because I feel like when you understand your human design, you will understand there is nothing wrong with you. And so many things you're doing, you were designed to do them. Like my grandma used to tell me, you're too good, you're too giving, you're too like emotionally involved. You know, I'm like, yeah, maybe you're right. And that's why my men were cheating on me, taking advantage of me, right? Because I was believing that if you're too good, people will take advantage of you. And then I changed it. And I told my grandma, I was like, you know what? I feel like the right man will appreciate it, that I love cooking and baking. And you know, I'm Taurus, so I'm like a homebody, right? And it's just like, the right man will appreciate it. And here we are, 5 years after, I'm with my husband. He treats me like a queen. He goes to groceries, brings me like unexpected flowers, and leaves me hidden notes all around the house. It's just, it's not the honeymoon stage. We plan to be like that consciously. We're choosing each other every single day, every single moment. But through human design, I learned like, I am here. My purpose is to align others with their purpose through nurturing and sensitivity. So what was so as my flaw, it's my biggest gift. My clients, when they come to me, they don't need a kick in the booty. They don't need accountability. They don't need someone to yell at them. They don't need someone who is going to give them like, oh, you got to do 10 calls and 20 cold messages, blah, blah, blah. They're so hard on themselves that what they need, it's love and nurturing and light and embracing, because when they're feeling safe, then they can manifest. Then they open up to opportunities, because clients come to me and many of them have a trust issues, right? Like you've been burned, you've been lied, you've been cheated on, you've been betrayed, you got brokenhearted. It's challenging to go into the business because you're naked, you know, like you're right there naked. If you're doing your business right, you're naked there, you know. And the thing is that if you're not authentically you and not showing up as you, people won't be able to connect anyway. So you will be half-assing your business anyway. So I feel like it's so important to embrace who you came here to be. And human design, it's such a huge, beautiful modality. And some people are like, oh, I don't like using it because it puts you in a box. I'm like, it helped me to understand there's no box. So it's your perception again.
Yes. I have to ask you this quickly because this is such a good one. And I think people, when you talked about intuition, and I'm sure people are like, yes, like, yes. How did you start to tap into your intuition? How do you trust your intuition? I know that might be a longer episode.
No, that was such a slap in the face and kick in the butt, and like puts me literally like, imagine like a huge mud and puddle. And it was universe like taking my face and like rinsing it in the dirtiest, because how I connected with my intuition for like real. And when I say intuition, it's real, is when I found out that my partner was cheating on me. We were together for 4 years, and he used to we lived in Vegas, and he used to have a friend who was a manager in a club. So sometimes we would go there and have a couple drinks. Back then I saw my boyfriend talking with another girl. And listen, I'm not jealous. I always tell them, don't do whatever you don't want me to do, right? And I was like entertaining myself there too. So, no hard feelings. But that night, Erica, I started crying out of nowhere. And he was like, oh my God, you're making scene. Let's go home. What you're doing. Like, I would never cheat on you. And I saw him like he was a chiropractor. He was like very like respectful man. So I'm like, I have no reason to not believe him that he's loyal and loving and whatever, right? Back then we were dating together for the like 1 year. So I'm like, he never gave me a sign of like, he always treated me well and with so much respect. So, and we are in the car driving home and he's like pissed, like, you think that I would ever disrespect you, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, I disregarded. Well, 3 years later, I got a very, very long, very detailed email where this girl from that night is describing me all the details, how they were sleeping together, how she was going to his house, how she took him to Hawaii, which, by the way, was my place that I always wanted to go and he never took me. And like, she was like, I don't want you to be like fooled, whatever. And, I told him and he was like, yeah, it's just like, that's so like stupid of me. I'm like this knight in like shining armor. And I just wanted to help her and save her. And it never meant anything to me. I'm like, it's well, you get drunk and you have one fling. Like, of course it would break my heart. You sleep with someone else. When you're seeing someone for 3 years, seriously? That was the time I'm like, I knew. My intuition knew, So a little bit like hard lesson, but that's what happens with intuition. It's always there. You can always tap into it. And if you don't listen, it will kick your booty because it's like little nudges like, hey, Erica, look, hello, hey.
Yes.
Then it just kicks you out, because you're not listening and you get to listen because, it can either kick you out or you just are so like in your head and in this matrix that you don't even realize what is happening outside and you're choosing ignorance and you're choosing not to see and listen. Like sometimes to be honest, Erica, sometimes I also like put the blinds on. I don't have TV. I don't watch TV for over 10 years. I think it's a BS. They show you only what it's convenient for them. So yeah, I put my blinds on, but when I see their struggles and I can help, I help. Like I have clients all over the world. We invest money with my husband, in our team members. We invest money in kids in Bali. And we went there a couple of years ago to teach disadvantaged kids English and personal development. So like, I'm here to support, but I'm not going to get like moved by all the fear and the drama that's constructed anyway. You know what I mean? So I feel like, and I teach my clients how to tap into their intuition because sometimes they're like, well, what if it's my ego? What if like, how do I know the difference? And it was like such a huge question for me too. Like, how do I distinguish intuition from my ego? And I feel like the ego, it's like wants like an explanation and it's like, like telling you what to do. The intuition, you feel it in your body. You will feel it in different places in your body, depending again on your human design. For me, it's gut intuition. My husband has a, like solar plexus intuition, which is his emotional intuition. It's going to be different for you than, for me. Maybe we have the same one, but like you get to really like sit down in a quiet, and I give my clients an exercise and I have like a PDF for it, to reconnect to your intuition. It's like sit down and have a piece of paper or like journal on your side and like quiet everyone, kick out your family from the house, like have like, and listen, like, 15, 30 minutes. It's completely fine. You can be done in 5 minutes, really up to you. But like create a space that you are feeling safe and grounded. You can sit up or lay down. Don't fall asleep, please. If you're meditating and falling asleep, stay sitting. I'm like, I don't, so I can lay down. But like sitting up and closing your eyes and putting one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart, so you can really connect to your breath, connect to your heart. And then think about in the past, what were the times that your intuition was talking to you and you didn't listen and you wish you did? Where did it feel like in your body? What happened afterwards in the meantime, and then you write it down. And then you reset, like you can shake it out, shake off your body, or palosan to yourself, go take a fresh air, by the window, like reset the energy a little bit. And then you sit down again in a quiet and think about the times again, one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. What were the times that you had like intuitive nudges and you went and you listened and it worked out and you're so happy you did because you met your husband or you got the job opportunity or you got the raise or you met the best friend or like everything in my life, Erica, nothing makes sense. Nothing freaking makes sense. I shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't be an entrepreneur. I shouldn't have a multiple six figures. I shouldn't have a loving husband. I shouldn't have an amazing friend, spiritual wife. Like it doesn't make sense how I met them. It doesn't make sense how I got here. I didn't plan for it. It wasn't like, they're like these raised and born entrepreneurs, like they were selling stones and pencils. I'm like, I never wanted to be entrepreneur. I wanted to be safe and I wanted to be paid by someone and be off the weekends and drinking on barbecues on the weekends. And now I'm multiple six figures business owner, with global company, global, like our podcast, it's now top 2% podcast globally, like
wow.
I haven't planned for this, and it's just all of this was making the decisions when it made no sense. In 2019, when the crisis started, like the big crash, it was starting in Europe. And I was living on the beach in Spain. Back then, I got connected with a family friend who lived in the United States. They were doing international exchange student, and he's like, hey, like I'm moving from Minnesota to Vegas. If you want, look at the schools here in Vegas and see if you're going to get accepted. We'll pay your trip so you can do all the tests in person. If they accept you, our family can pay you like full tuition to be international student. I was like, why not? It's like I wasn't in relationship, no kids, no nothing, job. I had less hours. I was working as a bookkeeper. I'm like, why not? Thank God I left. Because then in my job, they're firing, there was like 35% unemployment, where I lived in Spain on the beach. So I moved here. I did my school, my bachelor's, my master's, started my business, started second business, and just like, you couldn't plan for it. It wasn't logical because back then, like I had a great job. I was like in the office on the beach. I lived on the beach and I will move to Vegas for what, right? Didn't make sense, but thank God. So following those nudges, even if it doesn't make sense, if it feels right to you inside, it's right.
I love that. I love that. Thank you. And I want to really briefly, of course, tell everyone where they can find you. But before we do, I always like to give this last opportunity to our guests. If there's anything else that intuitively wants to come up, that you want to speak about, if there's any last, and you might be like, no, I feel complete, but I always like to pass the mic one more time. If there's anything else that you're like, Erica, wait, I need to voice this.
I love this, Erica. And I feel really that just remembering you're a lighthouse, each and every one of us, it's a lighthouse. The brighter you shine, the easier the people, the boats, the opportunities can come to you. And those who chose not to come, it's like, let them be on a dark sea and let them be. But really like shining brighter and being unapologetic about who you really are, embracing your worthiness. It's what's going to make you feel fulfilled and really connected to your soul.
Thank you. So without further ado, we could talk for hours, but without further ado, and I'll put this, of course, in the show notes, but talk to us where we can find you, how we could be in your energy. Tell us all the things.
I love this, Erica. Thank you. I feel like my favorite place is Instagram. I'm like there and just that's where my energy and focus is. My podcast, Unapologetically Abundant, and you will put everything in the show notes because nobody can pronounce my name anyway. My website is the same. It's my unpronounceable name, petiakolibova.com. And there's everything, my courses, my mini courses, like upcoming events, retreats, and things like that. So I feel like that's the best way. And also one last thing I want to share, because sometimes we feel like, I don't have time, I don't have the money. And the thing is that if you look back, 1 year from now, you get to be further. And if you're walking alone, you will go fast, but you're not going to get far. So getting mentors, coaches, it's life-changing. It's what changed my life. So if you really resonate with Erica or me, like, please don't wait. There is this calling and not everyone answers it. And I believe that if you're listening to this and this is moving you, you get to, like, you can DM me with any questions or just schedule a free clarity call on my website, because I really feel like so many of us are now awakening and realizing there is more to life, and we want to live in abundance and leave a legacy, and you cannot do it alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for being with us today. You're the best, and I hope many more conversations and flow sessions with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode and on this podcast journey. And if you loved what we talked about today and you know another human who could definitely benefit from what was discussed, I would so appreciate if you would go ahead and share this podcast with them. Don't forget, hit subscribe or follow so you never ever miss an episode. And the great news is you can always follow me, my work, my blog, my podcast on my website at www.wethelight.org. And hey, remember, life is so much brighter when we shine. I'll see you next time.